Hi guys, National Corporate Training, Emily here. So I want you to get an idea of what is actually the assessment process, okay? So if I was to go to you and say, look, can you just create a little assessment for me and cover this unit of competency, right? So I've got here SIS CAQ U202A, perform basic water rescues. So I just want you to just take this and just create a little assessment for me, please. And you go, yeah, okay, no worries. Whoa, where do I start? Okay, so the first thing you'd probably ask me is, who's taking this course? I mean, are they 15-year-olds or 40-year-olds? Do they have water experience, or are they coming straight off the street? Why are they doing this program? Is it part of a bigger picture? You know, you're gonna want to get an idea of who's taking the course, who's my target market. Right? So you know the unit, which is great. And you got to kind of figure out now who's actually taking this course, because when I read the unit, I need to be able to interpret it with thinking about envisioning who's doing this task. Okay, no worries. So I've got that idea. So then I'm going to kind of think, all right, I got to read the unit. So we'll read it here. We get an idea of the application, no worries. Start visualizing, performance criteria and the elements, and I'm visualizing, they're actually doing this task. And in fact, they're actually doing it in the workplace, in a job. You could kind of see that happening. Then you go, yeah, okay. And I got required skills and knowledge, and I'm envisioning they've got those skills, they've got that knowledge. Or in the new unit structure, you've got your assessment conditions and your performance evidence and knowledge evidence. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'm envisioning this, no worries. So I've got a pretty good picture now. I know exactly what perform basic water rescues. I know what competence looks like. I can see my cohort doing it as well. Like, great, fantastic. So, what would be the best way with my cohort and my venue and my resources to assess them? What would be the best process? That's called unpacking. That'd be the next thing that I would think about. How am I actually going to assess these people? And, we'll get into the assessment requirements, because there's quite a few. I want to think about, okay, well, I've got to get some formative and some summative, and I want to think about direct and indirect and supplementary evidence, and then I want to think about, I want to actually see it over a period of time. So I don't want to see them perform just one rescue. They might just get lucky. I want to see them do it over a period of time, and probably in different contexts, so maybe at the pool or at the ocean, or, maybe they're performing a rescue on a 7-year-old, and then maybe on a grown adult that's overweight, and how are they going to manage that? And okay, so some different contexts. I can see them performing it. All right. So and I kind of got to go through and think about all that, and how's it going to work into my course, and how's it going to reflect the job? Because at the end of the day, the assessment process should be them doing the job, and me using that as the way that I assess them, and then I just create my criteria around that. So I go, okay, and I literally put down my ideas. So unpacking is putting down your ideas. However you do that, and this is the best evidence when it comes to an auditor and mapping, because essentially that's what you're doing when you're unpacking. You're coming up with how am I going to do this for everything that needs to be assessed. So okay, for example, we've got verbal question. Here is one way to assess, 1.1. Demonstration is an idea of how we could, assess 1.2. Or we might put role play in there. Scenario question, probably not observation. Determining, we might do, some questions there, or maybe a group discussion of some sort, or give them a scenario, something like that, and case study maybe. So we've got different ideas, because we've got to actually assess every single performance criteria. And really, we need to assess it more than once, because we need to see it a few times. We want to see it over a period of time and in varied contexts. And then we got to go into the required skills and knowledge and take a look there. And for each dot point, have I assessed it? For every single one, I need to have a way to have evidence of that that's happened. And then I take a look at my critical aspects and make sure I've covered off on all the musts there, and any other musts that might be in the evidence guide. So, you know, there might be a must in the type of equipment that has to be used in this particular unit, so I've got to make sure that that's included in my assessment. That's called unpacking, and what that really leads to then is your map. So you're literally mapping it. So that's like, I'll just jump on the whiteboard. Okay, I'm just going to jump out of the camera right now. So that's like, right, you've got your little document here, your little Word document, and on this side, you've got the performance criteria and the required skills and the required knowledge, right? It's all listed here. The critical aspects are listed. They're all listed across, right? And you've come up with your assessment ideas. And your assessment ideas was verbal question, you know, and you had an idea of, okay, we'll definitely do a demonstration. And then I think I need to do a series of role plays because, you know, we're going to need to put them in scenarios where people are drowning, but they're not really drowning because we don't want to be having an assessment process that's putting people at risk. So you go, okay, well, I have a question. I do have a couple questions that actually take that off. Question 2 and question 4 relate to that. So I'll put, yeah, cool. And I created question 6 is actually relates completely to the required skill 1. You know, and then you kind of go through and your demonstrations and you're thinking, oh yeah, so in the items that are listed, all 1 through 3 and then 5 all relate to this one, right? And then I might put in, oh yeah, yep, and I've got, you know, 6 and 8, you know, and you just go through and I literally say exactly where an auditor could find the evidence of 1.1. So I go, okay, how have you assessed 1.1, Emily? And I say, well, if you just take a look, let's look at question 2 and question 4, my verbal question. And they go, oh, yeah, I can see how that relates, and that's good. I say, and I got them to demonstrate it for me as well. And we actually did 2 demonstrations. So we did it at 2 different times. They're a week apart, and we did it in 2 different contexts with saving different types of people. And they went, oh, okay. And so they looked at the items, you know, 1, 2, 3, and item 5, and they can see, oh, yeah, that definitely relates to 1.1. That's mapping. So our unpacking leads to mapping. And when we map it, then we can clearly see, have we missed anything? I can go, oh, look, I don't have anything for required knowledge 1 and 2, and I don't have anything for critical aspects 1. Okay, I need to make sure that I assess that. So where can I fit that in? Or do I need to create a whole new assessment to get it done? Okay, this is just one way to, one process. There's another process is you can actually start with mapping. And you can go, I know I want to use verbal questions, demonstrations, and role play. And you just go through and you think, okay, I'm going to put my verbal, definitely do a verbal question for that and that and that. Definitely going to hit in my demonstration, I'm going to hit all of that. My role play will actually just be these ones. And then when I go to create my verbal questions, I look and see what I've ticked. And then once I create the question, I go, oh, yep, I created that as question number 1. And you can go around and do it that way. Ah, yep, just finished that question. That's actually question 2, and I created another one. So there's actually 2 questions that cover off on 1.2. So you can do it that way as well. At the end of the day, you need a map that clearly links where is every part of the unit of competency being assessed. And then, after that, you go ahead and create it. So make your verbal questions, make your demonstration, literally make the document that you're going to use or whatever it is that you're using, a digital process, and write it out. Okay, and it needs to be compliant, which is another thing that we'll talk about. But, you know, so it's got a place to tick SNYS, C or NYC. It's got a place for initialing and dating, and, you know, it's got the instructions in there, and it's all reliable and all that sort of thing. After you create it, you go, you know what, I just need someone to take a look at this. Before I start using it, right, I want someone to just take a look at it for me. So you have someone trial it out. Maybe they do the demonstration and you kind of get out some of the kinks. Then you go, you know what, I'm ready to formally validate this. So you bring it out into industry, and someone who's a professional, lifeguard takes a look at your assessments and goes, "Oh, those are great. Those definitely going to prepare, the candidate to perform basic water rescues." Absolutely, and everything in there is current standards, and I think it's great. Haven't missed a thing, and they give you that validation. Once that gets done, that's a formal process of validation. Is a formal process of really liaisoning with industry and getting feedback from industry on what you've created, okay, so that it does reflect the job and it does reflect what's currently happening out there, current practices. Once that's done, you get using that thing, and as you're using it, you're looking at the evidence that you're getting in, and then you're moderating that process. So you're looking at what kind of evidence is getting spit out, and can I improve this in any way, and that sort of thing. So here's the assessment process, guys, as a whole, okay? And then once we're moderating, we just kind of keep using and moderating. And if we want to make some drastic changes, then we got to revalidate it and then use it and moderate it. And this is why people buy assessment products, because this is a big process. It takes a long time to think through all this stuff and make sure it's compliant and make sure it's clever and and it covers off on everything and that whole side of things. So, and the other side of things, like if you are using a purchased product, we don't want to tinker with it because it's been mapped, see? So if we delete a short answer question and say, "Oh, that's crap, we don't need to do that question," but it's been mapped, you've now just nullified the fact that it's been validated, because when it was validated, it had that question in it, and now that you've deleted it, it's not really valid anymore. So when we want to make a change, not saying that you can't make a change, but you need to make sure that you talk to the person or company that you've purchased this from, get their permission, and everything's formalized and everything's in the process because it's all been mapped. If you want to change an assessment in entirety, find out how it's mapped, change it, then you got to remap it, send it through to make sure that it's okay to use. Okay? So, there we go, a little bit about assessment process. I hope that clarifies a few things for you.